Dumelang. Today I'll be doing the preliminary examination for 2024. It is a Gauteng paper. Now we're going to start with question 1. We are given in 1.1 that 2k is equal to x minus 5 multiplied by x minus k, and we need to determine for 1.1.1 we need to determine k if x is equal to 2. For 1.1, what it wants us to do is to go into the equation that we have been given, and wherever there's x, we need to substitute 2. You will notice that in the first factor, we've got x, so wherever there's x, we will just substitute 2. You just need to replace x with the value of 2. Let's see what's going to happen. We will have 2k is equals to, wherever there is x, substitute 2. So I'll have 2 minus 5. It's multiplied by 2 minus k. You will notice that wherever there's x, I just substituted 2. Simplify this. Simplify what is inside the bracket here. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. And 2 minus k will still be 2 minus k. To simplify this further, you will have to break the brackets. And here you're multiplying a monomial with a binomial. We have to distribute this 3 into the binomial. You will take the 3 multiplied by 2 and then take the 3 multiplied by k. Negative 3 multiplied by positive 2, that will give you negative 6. Negative 3 times negative k, that gives you positive. And 3 times k will just give you 3k. Transpose. Because when it comes to the coefficients, 3 is actually bigger than 2, I will transpose 2 to the right-hand side. This is to avoid having to multiply or divide by negative later on. And I will obviously transpose negative 6 to the left-hand side. When it jumps the equal sign, that 6 will be positive. On the right-hand side, you'll be left with 3k. And when that 2 jumps the equal sign, it'll be negative 2k. Hence, you have k is equals to 6. And this will be your solution. For 1.1, we have determined the value of k. The value of k will be equal to 6. 1.1.2. We need to determine the value of x if k is equal to 2. Here, we're going to go to the original equation. And wherever there's k, we will substitute 2. So wherever there's k, we'll substitute 2. I will start with this one. And the next one will be that one. Wherever there's k, you will just substitute 2. Because they told you here that k is equals to 2. Let us do that quickly. On the left-hand side, I've got 2k, so I will write that as 2 multiplied by 2 is equals to, inside the first bracket, there's no k, so I will be left with x minus 5. In the second bracket, I do have k, so I'll have x minus 2. So what I did is that wherever there's k, I simply substituted 2. You see, there was k there, and now there's 2. There was k here, and now there's 2. You got it? Let's simplify this. This will give you 4 is equals to x minus 5 and x minus 2. You probably have noticed that on the right-hand side, we actually have a binomial multiplied by a binomial, which are 2 factors. However, there's nothing you can do. The only way you can equate each of those bracket or each of those factors to 0 is if the product is equal to 0. In this specific example here, the product is actually not equal to 0. The product is equal to 4. These two are multiplied and those are factors. So our first factor will be x minus 5. The second one will be x minus 2. Those are factors multiplied and their product will be 4. We can't take each of those factors and equate them to 4. You cannot do that. We first have to break the brackets here and then factorize and then find our solutions by equating each factor to 0. So we have to first write this in standard form. I will start by breaking the bracket. To break the bracket, I'm going to multiply this by that and take the same, multiply it by 2. How much will that give us? It will give us x squared minus 2x. And then we're going to multiply this by that and take the 5 and multiply it by negative 2. And when you multiply them, you will have negative 5 times x. That will give you negative 5x. So you'll have minus 5x. Negative 5 times negative 2. That will give you positive. And 5 times 2 is 10. Simplifying this, you have to transpose that 4. So I'll be left with the 0 on the left-hand side. And that 4, when it jumps the equal sign, it will be negative 4. Simplifying this, I will end up having x squared minus, note that when you are adding terms with variables or subtracting terms with variables, you just keep the variable. You add or subtract the coefficients. So I will simply say negative 2 minus 5. negative 2 minus 5. That is negative. Double negative. You keep the sign as negative and then you add. 2 plus 5 will give you 7. And you'll have 10 minus 4. 10 minus 4 will give you positive 6. Quite easy here to find factors. The last term is positive, so both brackets will take the sign of the middle term, which is negative. Find the factors of 6. So when you multiply them, they must give you 6. When you add them, they must give you 7. And that is quite easy because it's 6 and 1. 6 times 1 is 6, but 6 plus 1 gives you 7. Now you will notice that I now have a product of 0. This is the first factor. This is the second factor. And these two factors have been multiplied to give us 0. So it's A times B, and the product is 0. So here we can simply say that one of the two factors has to be equal to 0. So we can say that A is equals to 0 and B is equals to 0. For you to have a product of 0, one of the factors have to be equals to 0, or both of them must be equal to 0. That is why you will take x minus 6 and equate it to 0, and then take x minus 1 and equate it to 0. Now you can solve the normal linear equation by transposing the constant and taking it to the other side. Now let's transpose negative 6. When it's transposed to the right-hand side, it'll give you x is equal to positive 6. It changes sign. Or in the second solution or linear equation, we will have x is equal to positive 1. And these are the solutions that you will need. Moving right along, let us move to 1.2. 1.2 requires us to solve for x. And then they say we need to round off our solution to 1 decimal place for 2.1, where we have 2x squared plus 3 is equals to 8x. Immediately when they say round off to 2 decimal places, you must just know that you will not be able to factorize the equation. You might need to use your quadratic equation and quadratic formula, I mean. And what we need to do is to first write the equation in standard form. And I know I've said this before. I'll just write it with a different pen. When you write an equation in a standard form, it needs to be in this form: a x squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, where the variable, the highest exponent, we start with the highest exponent to the lowest exponent to the constant. The highest exponent here is 2. The second highest will be 1. And obviously you will end with the exponent, where the exponent, you will end with the constant c, where the exponent of the variable there is actually equal to 0 because it's 2, 1, 0. Now, once you have written it in standard form, then you can be able to substitute into the quadratic formula. So guys, you need to make sure that you write it in this form, and as I've said, this will be the standard form. Let's do that. You'll have to transpose that 8x, so we'll end up having 2x squared minus 8x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now that it is in standard form, you have to use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula says that the variable will be equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. You divide this by 2a. Note that here, I'm going to just quickly highlight them. This is a, that is a, and this over here will be a. 2 will be a, as you can tell. So what I'm going to do is to substitute the value of a. I will leave everything else and I'll just go to where there is a. So wherever there is a, I will just substitute 2. And then I will have 2 and then I'll have 2 over there. You see what I did? Wherever there is a, I just substituted 2. Wherever there's b, I have to substitute -8. So there's b. Wherever there's b, I'll have to substitute -8. I'll substitute -8 over there. I'll substitute -8 over there. Note that if next to the variable you have a negative or the variable is raised to the exponent, when you do your substitution, make sure that the value that you're substituting, you're putting it in brackets. So we've got b there and there's a negative, so put the substituted number in brackets. I'll have -8 over there. Then I will have the square root of, again here, because that b is raised to the exponent, I will have -8 squared. Simplifying this will give me +8. Let me not write it. So I'll just write 8, but it's positive. And inside the square root, -8 squared will give you 64. And 4 times 2, I'm forgetting something here. I forgot C. Okay. As you can tell that the formula has C. That's what I forgot to do. But before I even go to C, can I just highlight B so that you can see what I highlighted, what I substituted into B. Now I'm going to substitute into C. You will see just now. So wherever there is C, I am going to substitute 3. So even here, I'm going to substitute 3. Wherever there's C. Let's do exactly that. So I've got 3 over here. Okay, now you will have in that enumerator, you will have 4 times 2 times 3. Note that the 3 is positive, so you'll put it as it is. Here it is, guys. Just to make it easy for you, you see that 3 is positive, so you just substitute it as it is. Now, when you multiply 4 with 2, that's 8. 8 times 3 will give you 24. So we are subtracting 24 here. And all of this will be divided by 2 times 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. To simplify this further, you will have 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 24. That will give you 40. You divide this by 4. It'll give you 2x values, okay? What are those 2x values? I'm going to separate the signs and I'm going to say this will be 8 plus the square root of 40 because it has 2 solutions here. This will be divided by 4, or you can simply say x is equals to 8 minus the square root of 40, and this will be divided by 4 as well. And this will end up giving you, put that into your calculator. It'll give you 3,58, or x will be equal to 0,42. These will be the 2x solutions that they were looking for. Let's go to the next question. That will be 1.2.2. They gave us the square root of 2 into x plus 10, and then you've got minus 10 is equals to x minus 12. First step, isolate the surd. What do I mean by surd? Isolate this whole thing here. By isolating it means that you're transposing everything to the other side of the equal sign. To isolate means you need to leave it alone. Let's do exactly that. To leave it alone this side, I'll have to transpose negative 10 to the right-hand side. I will be left with the square root of 2 times x plus 10, and this will be equal to, on the right hand side I already have x minus 12, but I'm going to transpose this 10 over here. It'll give me plus 10. Let me just simplify for the sake of it. Negative 12 plus 10 will give you negative 2. And on the left hand side, I'm still left with, can I just break that bracket? When I break that bracket, that is underneath the surd or the square root, I will take the 2 and multiply it with x, and take the same 2 and multiply it with 10. What do I get? You will get 2x plus 20. Happy? Step number 2. Get rid of the surd. If the surd is a cube root, you will cube both sides. If the surd is a square root, you just have to square both sides. I hope I'm making sense. That was step number 1. And this will be step number 2. Okay. Okay, that will be step number 2. We need to get rid of the surd. And to get rid of the surd here, because it's a square root, I'm simply going to square both sides. The 2 and the root will cancel out. On the left-hand side, I will be left with 2x plus 20. It will be equal to x minus 2, and that is squared. Your choice is that you can repeat the bracket twice, or you follow the simple short method, which will be square the first term, which is x. You just square it, and then you multiply everything. X multiplied by negative 2 will give you negative 2x, and then you multiply it by that 2, which will give you negative 4x. All right, the last term is always positive, which is 2. Just take it and square it. Okay, you will have 2x plus 20 this side. And on the right hand side, to simplify it, this is what you will end up having. Because we have the highest exponent this side, which is now positive, you will take everything on the left and transpose it to the right, and that'll give you x squared minus 4x plus 4, and then you transpose the 2, it'll be negative 2x. You transpose the 20, it'll be negative 20. These signs will change when you transpose. Just pay attention to the fact that the signs here changed when you transposed these ones here. Simplify. When we simplify, we add or subtract like terms. There's nothing that has an exponent of 2, so that variable x will still maintain its exponent of 2. And you will notice that when it comes to the x's, we've got negative 4x here, and we've got negative 2 there. Again, the signs are the same. You keep the variable when you add, guys. When you add terms that have variables, keep the variable and its exponent, and just add or subtract the coefficients. Here I will say minus 4 minus 2. That gives me negative 6. The last terms that I need to add or subtract will be these ones here. Let me choose a different color, and this will be the different color. Let's just highlight those two. Plus 4 minus 20, how much does that give you? It'll give you minus 16. Now choose or factorize this. Factors of x squared will be x and x. You need to find factors of 16. But by the way, the brackets will have different signs. That is because the last term is negative. You need to choose two factors. So when you multiply them, they must give you 16. But when you subtract them, they must give you 8. They must give you 6, and that is 8. Ahead of my time here. And 8 will take the sign of the middle term, which is negative because it's the bigger factor, and we need to multiply 8 with 2 for us to get 16, but 8 minus 2 will give us 6, which is the middle term. On the left we still have 0. Because these factors, this is again factor A, and that is factor B, right? And these two factors have been multiplied. Obviously, that's why we call them factors, and the product is 0. So we can say that A, which is x plus 2, is equals to 0, or x minus 8, which is B, will be equal to 0. Linear equation, it's easy to solve. You just transpose 2 here. X will be equal to negative 2. In the second one, you transpose 8. X will be equals to positive 8. However, guys, because the equation had a surd, unfortunately, this is not the end of the road. You need to check these solutions, which is one step that most of you always forget. You always check when there is surd. How do we check? I'm gonna take this value here. Okay. Can I highlight it with a different color? What can I choose? This one. I'm gonna take this one here. Right? I'm gonna go to the original equation, and wherever there is x, I'm gonna substitute that. So wherever there's x, I'm going to substitute that. Maybe I must use a different color pen so that you can see what I'm talking about. So here, wherever there is x, I'm going to substitute negative 2. And then you can just put it into your calculator and see what it gives you. But I'm going to do it differently. Obviously, I will have to work it out. Let's just work it out. So I've got here the square root, right, of 2, where there is x. I will substitute negative 2. Okay. And this is plus 10. And you've got minus 10 is equals to, again, we're going to have negative 2. minus 12. That is the right-hand side. The left-hand side here, let me see what this will give me. I will have in brackets 8 times 2, which gives me 16. And square root of 16 will give me 4. So I'll have 4 minus 10 on the left. And 4 minus 10 will give me negative 6. I hope that on the right I will get the same thing. So let's see what I get on the right. I've got negative 2 minus 12, and this gives me negative 14. So on the right hand side I've got negative 14. Too bad. It means that this x solution is incorrect. Let's try the second x value that we have. So I'm going to try this one now, okay? I'm going to try this one. And wherever there's x now, I'm going to substitute that positive 8. Let's see. What do we get? I get the square root of, it will be 2, 8 minus, it's plus 10, okay? And then you've got minus 10, it'll give you 8 minus 12. Let's see what you get here. You will have the square root of 2 into 18, right? Minus 10 is equals to, on the right already, I am getting negative 4. Because 8 minus 12 will give you negative 4. Here, guys, I'll have the square root of 2 times 18 will give me 36. Minus 10, square root of 36 will give me 6. And then you minus 10 from that, and that will give me negative 4. Yay! It means that this is the solution. That is because when I checked, my right-hand side was equal to the left-hand side. And this is where most of you guys lose marks. You forget to check your solution whenever there is a cert. Okay, let us move on to the next one. The next one will be 1.2.3. What they gave us this, right? They gave us 3 to the exponent of x, and it's multiplied by x minus 5, and this should be less than 0. I think most of you don't understand what this sign means. Do you know what that sign means? It means that we want the values of x that will give us an answer that is negative. When they say a value is less than 0, if I have 0 here and the value is less than 0, it means that value must be negative. I want the value of x that will give me a negative solution. I've got two factors here. This is factor A. This is, I'm going to multiply it by factor B. I want, when I multiply these two, they must give me a negative answer. An answer that is less than 0. And you can tell already, because A is 3 to the exponent of x. Guys, it doesn't matter what x becomes here. This whole thing will never, 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 never be negative. You can try it. Substitute negative a billion into x. This whole thing will never be negative. It will never, never, never be negative. So now for us to get a negative answer here, we have to look at the second factor, which is x minus 5. This has to be less than 0. Because we're adding and subtracting here, it's quite easy for us to get the value. So for us to solve for x here, because it's simple linear inequality, we're going to take 5 to the other side. We know that if x is less than 5, then we will get a negative value. And that's it. That's what they wanted us to do there. In 1.2.3. Okay. Let us move to 1.3. 3. In 1.3, they want us to solve the two equations simultaneously. So let me just write them down. They gave us the square root of 3 to the exponent of x, and it's multiplied by 9 to the exponent of y is equals to 27. And they also gave us x plus 4y squared is equals to 6. Just double checking. Okay, guys, you know what the square root means, right? The square root simply says whatever base you've got, you're going to take the exponent of that base and just divide it by 2. That's it. If it was a cube root, you take the exponent of that base, you divide by 3. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? Now simplify 9. Prime factorize 9. What is it? Oh, to do that, if you're using a Casio calculator, you can just put in 9, press the equal sign, go to shift, and then go to fact, okay, F-A-C-T. Press that and then it'll just prime factorize it for you. It'll give you 3 to the exponent of 2, but because this 9 was raised to y, you will close the bracket and put y as an exponent. This will give us 27. I will take that 27 since we are simplifying everything and just write it in simplest exponential form. Guys, to break the brackets here, I'm just going to take those exponents and multiply them. And this will give me 3 to the exponent of x divided by 2 times 3 to the exponent of 2y. This will be equals to 3 to the exponent of 3. Some drop exponents at this stage. I don't like doing that because now you lose the step, the most important step, which is that when the bases are the same, you just have to add the exponents. Because now a lot of you will get confused when you drop the bases there. You'll end up having x over 2 plus 2y is equals to 3. I don't like fractions, so I'm just going to multiply every term here by 2. This will cancel. I have x plus 4y is equals to 6. And I'll just say this is equation number 1, and I'll say that one over there, which is x plus 4y squared is equals to 6, will be equation number 2 to solve for. I'm going to solve for a variable x there in equation number 1, and I will have x is equals to 4y. Let me just rewrite that. X will be equal to 6 minus 4y, and I'll say this is equation number 3, and then I'll just say substitute equation number 3 into equation number 2. You don't substitute into the equation you use to find equation number 3. You can't substitute this into 1, it will give you 0. You substitute it into the equation that you haven't used. What does this mean? You're going to go to equation number 2, and wherever there's x, you will just substitute that. You will substitute 6 minus 4y. Want to do that? So you will have 6 minus 4y plus 4y squared is equals to 6, right? Because 4y squared is this side, you just have to bring everything. I'm just writing this in descending exponential form. I have had plus 6. You will transpose the 6 and you will get 0. So I took that 6 to the left. It became negative. And then on the right, I'm left with 0. So in case that confused you. But 6 minus 6 is yakatana. They give you 0. Yakatana. They finish each other. Okay. So 6 minus 6 is 0. You will be left with the 4y squared minus 4y is equals to 0. To factorize this, guys, when it comes to finding a common factor, I think when it comes to numbers, it's quite easy, right? However, people don't know even when it comes to finding the common factor for a variable is easy. You look for a common variable. Here the common variable is y. And then you just take y that has the lowest exponent, which is that 1. Grade 8, guys. Don't forget the stuff you learned in grade 8, okay? So I will have y, and then in brackets I'll be left with 4. You can take 4 out if you want to. Let me take it out because it's a common factor anyway. You can take 4, so it'll be 4y. I will be left with y minus 1 is equals to 0. I've got two factors here. This is factor a, guys. Probably by now you're tired of me. Factor a, and the product is 0. So it means that factor a, which is 4y, must be 0, or factor b, which is y minus 1, must be 0. Here, to solve for y, I'll just divide both sides by 4. Okay, just divide this by 4, divide that by 4. 0 divided by 4 is 0. The next one, guys, you'll have y is equals to 1. You just transpose that 1. It'll become positive when you take it to the right-hand side. That's why we have that. We're not done yet. You will simply have to take those two. Ne? J canvas. You're gonna take those two. These two. Right here. I prefer to substitute them right there. So you substitute them right there, but where there is y. Don't ask me why. Okay. You're gonna substitute them there. There, there, there. So let's do that, right? So let's see what we're gonna have. I'm gonna have x is equals to 6 minus 4, where there's y, substitute 0, you see? Or x is equals to 6 minus 4, where there is y, you substitute 1, you see? And then end up having x is equals to 6. Or x is equals to 6 minus 4. What is 6 minus 4? That's just 2. So these are all our solutions. That's it. That's all you needed to do there. Let's go to 1.4. What do they have in 1.4? So they gave us the simplified quadratic formula, right? This one here. We've got 2p plus 5. This will be divided by 7, right? A lot of you guys don't know that under the square root there, that, you see that? That I highlighted there. That I highlighted there. It's called delta, guys. Okay? So our delta here is 2p plus 5. You know that if delta is equals to, let me not tell you. Let me just answer the question, and the question will guide us. Okay, so we're going to look at what is underneath the square root and nothing else, okay? So let's do 1.4.1. They want two equal solutions. For your solutions to be equal, guys, it means that your delta must be equal to 0. Meaning that this 2p plus 5 must be equal to 0 for you to have equal solutions. Because your solutions, if that is the case, your solutions will be made up of these. What makes them to be 2, it's this plus minus over there, okay? But it'll be plus 0, so you'll have the same solution, which will be 2 over 7. It's equal solutions. 2 equal solutions. You with me? Now you can just solve for p, because that's what they want us. They want us to state the values of p for which this equation will have 2 equal solutions. So for them to be equal, delta has to be equal to 0. Okay. Now to solve for p here, guys, it's a simple linear equation, grade 8 stuff. We'll have 2p is equals to, you will have 2p is equals to negative 5, and then you divide both sides by 2. You end up having p is equals to negative 5 all over 2. That's it. For 1.4.2, for non-real solutions, guys, it means delta has to be less than 0. So if underneath that square root you've got 0 there, we have a problem. Anything that is less than 0, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a complex number. Excuse me. So we know that under the square root, we've got 2p plus 5. So for us to have no real solutions, we're going to have this being less than 0. And then you just solve. It's a simple linear inequality. You transpose 5, you take it to the other side, it will be negative 5. Then you divide both sides by 2, so p will be less than 5 over 2. Excuse me. And that's it. This will be it for question number 1. All right. I try by all means to explain everything thoroughly, and I hope I did explain everything thoroughly and re-emphasize the concepts as well so that you don't forget any concept that you have learned. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this. Please keep watching for question 2. All right? For more information, please check the description. Awesome.